from smashing heads like a missile to becoming a snake by dating his teammate's wife and marrying her months later. These footballers had it all and still managed to ruin their careers in seconds. And it all starts with a career-ending laugh. The night was May 5th, 2021. Real Madrid had just been knocked out of the Champions League by Chelsea. Fans were furious, pundits were silent, and Eden Hazard was smiling? Not just smiling, laughing and hugging Chelsea players like he just won a trophy. The cameras caught everything. That one moment shattered what little faith Real Madrid had left in their £100 million man. Hazard smiling after getting smoked? I'd rather start Marcelo at striker. That wasn't just a meme. That was the moment Hazard became a symbol of wasted potential in Madrid. 4 years, £400,000 a week, and this guy's highlight was hugging Aspi? Even Carlo Ancelotti, usually ice cold in interviews, couldn't hide it. He benched Hazard for the rest of the season, and by 2023, Madrid didn't just release him, they paid to cancel his contract. He went from Ballon d'Or contender to luxury bench warmer. Chelsea saw the peak, Madrid got the blooper reel. Hazard didn't throw a punch, he didn't insult a coach. He just smiled, at the wrong time, in the wrong place, in front of millions. And that smile was the last one he wore in a Real Madrid shirt. But if Hazard laughed his way out of Madrid, the next guy headbutted his legacy into the stratosphere. Berlin, July 9th, 2006. It's the World Cup final. Extra time. Zinedine Zidane's final professional game. He'd already scored a cheeky Panenka in the 7th minute. The match is locked at 1-1. The world is watching. And then, in the 110th minute, Italy's Marco Materazzi says something. Zidane stops, turns, and absolutely smashes his head into Materazzi's chest. Red card, sent off, final moments of his legendary career, gone. Zidane's last act as a player wasn't a trophy. It was a felony with footnotes. France go on to lose the final on penalties. Zidane watches from the tunnel, emotionless. No handshake, no goodbye. Just silence and a headbutt replayed millions of times. That wasn't just a red card. That was a legacy self-destruct button. Even Materazzi admitted years later, I insulted his sister, yeah, but I never expected a missile forehead. The fallout? Zidane vanished. Didn't speak for days. And when he did, it was too late. Zidane went out like a warrior. But even warriors don't headbutt in World Cup finals. One move, 1 second, and a flawless international career. Gone in flames. Zidane's legacy ended with a headbutt, but Serge Aurier, he destroyed his entire future with nothing but a phone and Wi-Fi. It's 2016 and Aurier is PSG's rising star. One of League One's best right-backs, just 23 years old and known for his speed and tackles. But then he hit Go Live. On an unfiltered Instagram stream, Aurier sat in his car with a friend and began throwing verbal grenades, called his coach Laurent Blanc a fuck-chewy, said Zlatan Ibrahimovic only played because he sucks up to Blanc, mocked teammates like Cavani and Pastore, all while laughing. Bro disrespected his coach, striker, and club in 45 seconds. That's not IG Live. That's career speedrun to unemployment. Paris Saint-Germain was stunned. Blanc refused to speak to him. Zlatan didn't even respond publicly, just cold eyes in training. That silence from Zlatan after the live was scarier than any press release. Man looked like he was deciding where to bury the body. Aurier was suspended, fined, forced to issue a shaky apology video, and even banned from entering the UK during a Champions League match versus Arsenal. The French media called him radioactive. He had talent, he had a future. He chose TikTok energy on Instagram Live. That's the moment PSG gave up on him. In 2017, PSG sold him to Spurs, and though he's bounced around since, he never became the world-class star he was once projected to be, all because of a live stream. But if Aurier's phone killed his career, the next story, it starts with a phone call and ends in prison. For Adam Johnson, it wasn't just football that ended. It was freedom. March 2nd, 2015, Johnson, a former England international and Sunderland winger, gets arrested. The charge? Sexual activity with a 15-year-old girl. At first, the football world stood still. No one could believe it. A Premier League player with a child? Johnson denied it. Sunderland suspended him, but then, just 2 weeks later, they let him back onto the pitch. Imagine walking into the stadium and seeing that man in your club's kit. That wasn't just poor judgment, that was betrayal. But then the texts surfaced. The girl's testimony came out. Johnson pled guilty to 2 charges and was found guilty of a third, 6 years in prison. Career over, reputation nuked, Sunderland publicly humiliated. He played with Sterling and Rooney, now he's on prison league benches. That's not a downfall, that's a crater. Even former teammates turned their backs. Johnson's name was wiped from club records. Sponsors, fans, and even the FA disowned him. No footballer in this era fell harder. Not for form, not for injury, but for evil. And we should never forget that. He served 3 years, was released quietly, tried to live in silence. But for the world, the damage was permanent. Aurier lost a club, Johnson lost everything, and the next guy, he lost his career for literally doing nothing. Because while Adam Johnson's fall was criminal, Winston Bogart's was legal theft. He did rob a Premier League club blind, with a pen and a smile. It's the year 2000 and Chelsea signs him from Barcelona. They offer him £40,000 a week, which back then was outrageous money. Then came the twist. The manager who signed him, Gianluca Vialli, gets sacked. New manager Claudio Ranieri shows up and says, "Yeah, I don't want you." But Bogart, he's not mad. He's not leaving. In fact, he's not doing anything. Bogart said bench? Cool. He turned Chelsea's subs into his personal spa. He trained with the youth team, sometimes wasn't even included in squad photos. But every Friday, like clockwork, £40,000 hit his account. And it wasn't even guilt money, it was his full contract. Most players dream of trophies. Bogart dreamed of direct deposit. Over 4 years, Bogart made £10 million and played just 11 games for Chelsea. When asked why he stayed, he said, "Why should I throw €15 million away when it is mine already? Legend. Or villain. Or both." He played 11 matches in 4 years. That's 2.75 games per £1 million, and we call Messi efficient. Eventually, Chelsea gave up trying to force him out, and when his contract expired, he just left like a ghost. Winston Bogart robbed Chelsea with his contract, but Ali Dia, he tricked his way into the Premier League with one phone call and a made-up story. It's 1996. Southampton manager Graeme Souness receives a call. The voice on the line says he's George Weah, yes, Ballon d'Or winner George Weah, and he's recommending his cousin Ali Dia for a trial. Souness listens. Weah is a legend, so his cousin must be special, right? Wrong. Bro accepted a transfer based on a prank call. Peak 90s ball. No background check, no clips, just vibes. Souness signs Ali Dia, puts him on the bench, and then he actually subs him in. November 23rd, 1996. Southampton versus Leeds United. Ali Dia steps onto the pitch. The commentators are confused, the fans are silent, and within 14 minutes, Souness realizes the truth. This man can't play. He ran like a fan who won a contest. Zero control, lost every ball, and just vibed on the wing. Souness subbed him off just 14 minutes after putting him on, and 2 weeks later, Southampton cut him. Turns out there was no connection to George Weah, no pro history, just a semi-pro player from the French lower leagues who faked his way into the Premier League like it was a school talent show. Iconic, but tragic. Ali Dia never played another professional match. His name became a joke, but also a legend. Not for goals, not for trophies, but for pulling off the greatest scam in football history. Ali Dia had no talent, but got his chance. Jonathan Woodgate? He had it all, until one match ruined everything. It's 2004. Real Madrid is in their Galactico era. Beckham, Zidane, Ronaldo, Figo. And they drop £13.4 million to sign Woodgate, an English centre-back with class, strength, and control. Madrid believed they were getting a defensive rock. Instead, they got a nightmare debut. The man had 500 days to prepare for one game, and in 66 minutes, he fell apart like wet paper. After over a year of injuries, Woodgate finally makes his debut in 2005 against Athletic Bilbao, 66 minutes. That's all it took. First he scores an own goal, then he gets a red card. Not just one yellow, two. One for a clumsy slide, one for elbowing a player in the face. Madrid fans couldn't believe it. It was like he pressed every self-destruct button possible. Own goal, red card. All he needed was a pitch invasion. The press destroyed him. Madrid legend Jorge Valdano called it the most cursed debut in club history. And fans never forgave him. Imagine your dream debut ends with your teammates avoiding eye contact. Woodgate tried to recover. He played a few more games. But the injuries came back, and the nickname stuck. The walking calamity. By 2007, Madrid gave up, sold him back to England, and his career was never the same. One game, one cursed game. That rewrote his whole legacy. Woodgate's one red card ended his career. Gerardo Bedoya, he made a career out of red cards. This Colombian midfielder wasn't just aggressive, he was built for chaos. Known as the Beast by teammates, Bedoya racked up 46 career red cards. That's not a typo. 46, the most in football history. This guy didn't play football, he fought MMA in boots. His worst moment? September 2012, in a Colombian league match. Playing for Santa Fe, Bedoya gets sent off for a brutal elbow, but while walking off, he kicks his opponent in the head. After the red card was shown, double violence, double suspension, he gets 15 games banned, and no one was surprised. The ref could have given him 2 red cards in the same minute, and still wouldn't cover the damage. Throughout his career, coaches feared him, opponents respected him, but from a safe distance. Even in training, teammates were cautious. One former player said, he'd 2-foot you in training, then help you up like it was normal. And after retirement, you'd think he'd chill. Nope, he became a coach. And in his first match as a manager, he got sent off again for fighting. Same man, new job, still banned before the final whistle. Bedoya didn't just cross the line, he bulldozed it, and fans, they either loved the madness or feared it. Gerardo Bedoya lost control on the pitch, but Mesut Özil lost everything off it. And all it took was saying sorry. Let's rewind. It's May 2018. Germany's World Cup squad is being finalized, but before the tournament begins, Özil, one of Germany's most talented playmakers, takes a photo with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, alongside teammate İlkay Gündoğan. Social media explodes. The German public sees it as political. The media calls it an endorsement of authoritarianism. Özil tries to stay quiet. Then, just before the World Cup, he issues an apology. But instead of fixing things, it makes everything worse. He apologized to calm the storm, but all it did was paint a bigger target on his back. Germany go to the World Cup. They crash out in the group stage. And guess who the media blame? Not the tactics, not the manager, Özil. He's accused of not being German enough. His loyalty is questioned. The same player who gave you a World Cup assist is now the scapegoat because of a photo? Disgraceful. July 22nd, 2018, Özil retires from the German national team. At just 29 years old, and in his statement, he doesn't hold back. I am German when we win, but I am an immigrant when we lose. Fans are split. Some say the apology showed weakness. Others say he never owed one to begin with. Either way, it shattered his image. He went from national hero to political scapegoat in 30 days. Özil never played for Germany again, and although his club career continued, that apology marked a turning point. Not for peace, but for isolation. But if Özil's story was about betrayal from his own country, the next one is about betrayal from teammates, in the worst possible way. Imagine you're Mauro Icardi, young, talented, and the rising star at Inter Milan. But instead of being loved by teammates, you become the most hated man in Italian football. Why? Because you stole something more valuable than goals. You stole your teammate's wife. Let's rewind to 2013. Icardi plays alongside Maxi Lopez at Sampdoria. They're close friends, even vacation together. But behind the scenes, Icardi is messaging Wanda Nara, Maxi's wife and the mother of his kids. Forget red cards. Icardi committed emotional murder. By 2014, Wanda files for divorce. Weeks later, she's dating Icardi. Later that year, they get married. Maxi Lopez is devastated, and in their next Serie A matchup, he refuses to shake Icardi's hand. The media calls it the Wanda Derby. Fans take sides, but most turn on Icardi. He's booed every time he touches the ball. Ultras call him a snake, and some even threaten him in stadiums. He wasn't just a villain, he was a walking scandal in boots. But Icardi? He doubles down. He posts photos of Wanda's kids calling him Dad. He tattoos their names on his arm. He even writes about it all in his autobiography, and that's where he crosses the final line. In the book, he blames the fans, says he can fight them all, and brags about being untouchable. Inter Milan Ultras lose it. They hang banners outside the stadium. They call for his removal as captain. No badge, no armband, no honor. He led the team while stabbing it in the back. Eventually, the club takes action. Icardi is stripped of captaincy, sidelined from matches, and shipped out to PSG. A career that was flying, crashed from inside betrayal. And even years later, the drama never ends. Wanda Nara is now his agent, his ex-wife, and still his headline. But if Icardi's betrayal was personal, the next story is national. One footballer, hated by an entire country. If there's one player who knew how to burn bridges, it was Adebayor. He didn't just change clubs, he changed sides, and left a trail of fire in every stadium he stepped in. Let's start with Arsenal. Adebayor was their number. One striker in 2008, scored 30 goals. Fans loved him. Then came 2009. Manchester City. Money, and a transfer that felt like betrayal. But the real chaos? That came when he scored against Arsenal and sprinted across the entire pitch to celebrate right in front of Arsenal fans, 20,000 people booing, middle fingers, bottles, even coins raining down from the stands. He could have just celebrated with teammates. Instead, he tried to fistfight an entire stadium. That one run didn't just go viral. It became football history. And Arsenal fans, they never forgave him. But that wasn't the end. Adebayor later joined Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal's biggest rivals, and the betrayal reached God-tier levels. Scoring against your old team is one thing. Joining their enemy is straight-up villain arc stuff. But here's where it gets even darker. While playing for Togo, Adebayor's team bus was attacked by gunmen before the 2010 Africa Cup of Nations. 3 people were killed, many others injured. It was traumatic, horrifying. And when Togo withdrew from the tournament, most fans were supportive, except for CAF, Confederation of African Football. They banned Togo for 2 years. Adebayor spoke out hard. Against corruption, against injustice, he was hailed a hero in Togo. But when he later refused to return to international duty, even Togo fans started turning on him. He stood for us in crisis, then ghosted when we needed him most. From Arsenal to Spurs, to his own country, Adebayor went from beloved to booed, across entire nations, sometimes with a goal, sometimes with silence, but always with chaos. You've seen the chaos, the drama, the downfall. This is LIXOR, where football's wildest stories come to life. Hit subscribe. We're just getting started.